This is the Minted Podcast, a show for small business owners running a business and a life at the same time. Every day, I get to work with people just like you. You're great at your profession, but dread doing all the operational tasks. It drains your cash and your headspace. If you're at the point where you are done winging it, but outsourcing or hiring still feels a step away, this show is for you. Hi, I'm Lisa Morey, the founder of Min Agency, and today we're answering this question. In small business, is it who you know really important than what you know? To help us to do that, I am speaking with Sally Manning, the business manager of the Wagga Wagga Business Chamber. All right, let's get minted. Sally, welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. It's great to be here.
Now, we'll jump straight into it. A lot of business people that I speak to say they're lonely in small business. And my question to you is, what advice would you give them?
I think it's a real thing, Lisa. I agree with that statement. And I see it a little bit in my work life. We deal with a lot of sole traders or individual business owners who may not have that team around them. I don't want to reference COVID too much, but it's a reality. I remember sitting at home and it was really isolating, not having the team around you, communicating via team meetings and Zoom meetings. And I'm a relationships person. I crave that interaction with people. So it's a real thing that can happen in business. I guess that's why I love what I do. We create opportunities for people to come together and to have that connection point. I mean, it's a human need to want to be around people, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. That need is still there to be able to bounce ideas or just to catch up or have friendships. Networking where you can, I think, is really important part of business. There are some occupations that don't have a big demand for you to be around people, but most occupations, if you've got that skill set of being able to speak to someone at a genuine level, it goes a long, long way.
So where would you recommend a small business owner start in their journey at that loneliness stage?
Yeah, so I think the networking piece, as I said, is pretty key. I would encourage a business owner, whether they're new to their location or they're pre-existing and they want to expand their network, I would encourage them to look at some community organisations that are around and available. And naturally, I'll say the chambers because I am part of the Wagga Wagga Business Chamber. But there's so many other organisations as well. A lot of women in business groups. There's networks out there for you to tap into, and they're generally at any community level. You could be part of a big metro area, you could be part of regional. There's normally a group of some sort. And if not, how about creating your own? And it could just be as simple as saying, let's meet at a coffee shop at 10 o'clock or, at a time convenient to that sole business trader once a month. And the value of that connection can go so far, the collaboration, the sense of belonging. And it could, as I said, start really simple as just as a coffee date. And it could be 3 people and it could go to 20 people. You just don't know. It depends how far you want to take that opportunity. If it's not available, don't be afraid to start an opportunity for business owners to come together.
Yeah. And what about those people who are introverts? And I admit, like I am, it's like part of me is, part of me isn't. But definitely when it comes to networking, I'm a real introvert. So where do you start from having a coffee with someone? What's the conversation you have to walking into a networking event? Like, where do you go? Who do you approach? Where do you even start?
It can be very overwhelming. I think I myself, I've kind of been thrown into these situations from an early stage of my career, and I'm a people's person. It comes kind of naturally to me, but you can get fatigued, and even the person who looks really confident and can work the room really well, they would have their own insecurities, and I go through that all the time. So I guess the advice I do give to people that I chat to that are a little bit maybe not as confident is go with a wing person. Go with someone who's there with you who it's a safety blanket, I guess, but then make sure you are pushing yourself a little bit and try and branch out and meet new people. The chances are that they're just as nervous as you are, and you can often sometimes see that as well. But by creating a group or being part of a group, there's normally a host of some sort that can help introduce you to people as well. You can go in with some questions to ask people when there's those awkward silences, but also silence shouldn't be frowned upon. It's a part of life. There's lots of different topics that I feel like you can bring up. It doesn't have to just be the weather. It could be about the venue that you're in. And then depending how you're connecting with that person, whether you bring in a personal story or, children normally bring people together, I find, and it just helps build those relationships. And then from those interactions and those relationships, that's when the business stuff I find comes in and opportunity presents itself. If you find that you're communicating with a like-minded person, I think then that's where the magic can happen. And that's what I love about what I do and what I see in business is that collaboration.
Yeah, so would you say going in then, so if I was to go to a networking event and meet people, not necessarily going in to talk business, like do you go more in just to meet people on a personal level, or do you go in prepared with like business cards and start selling yourself as such?
There's always one of those people in the room. They've got their cards and they're on a mission, and I applaud them, like the drive to do that. Incredible. Personally, I take that more, casual approach. Obviously representing my organisation, I do that with pride, and I have just the normal spiel on how you explain what you do and about the organisation. So that just kind of comes naturally. But yeah, I always take that other spin on it, whether it's talking about what you're doing on the weekend or some of the events I've been to, get Airbnb recommendations. So they're my kind of people. That's where I want to be at. And then, like I said, I think once you make those personal connections, you feel trusted to maybe share more about your business hopes and dreams, and then that's where the magic occurs. I definitely recommend people not to, well, as I said, it's worked for me where I try and keep it casual and keep it genuine. If you go in too salesy, it can definitely come across the wrong way, or like, oh, there's another person, they're on a mission, they want to get their sales in. That's not for everybody.
And do you think maybe in Wagga in particular it's a little bit different because we're a country town, like we're big but we're also small with our connections, and referrals from experience work just as much as anything else. Like, so having those relationships and those connections in a town like Wagga does work well. So do you think it's maybe a country town thing that where the relationships first is a little bit more valued than the sales side of it?
Yeah, look, I can't speak from experience. I'm born and bred in Wagga, and I've done a lot of travelling but haven't been a part of many other business networks in metro areas. But I think there's definitely a regional way, if you will. It's a way that you would get that painter in because you know them, or this accountant was good because I did this. There's lots of chitter-chatter happening in the street. Everyone knows a little bit about everyone, and you run into each other in the supermarket, and you'll see your lawyer at the gym or whatever it may be. It is a regional way, and I think that if you have great relationships at a community level, or you're a business that's been seen to be involved with the community, that does go a long way. And I've even had business owners come in wanting to establish businesses in the city, and they do find it quite hard to tap into our community, which I find a little bit sad because once you're in the community, it's an amazing space. We're beautiful people, really innovative businesses, so much happening, so much potential. So, but it is a little bit harder, I think, to tap into that regional space because of those personalised connections. In Metro, I think you can kind of put your head down and just get on with life. And again, I can't speak from experience, but that's my thought process around that. You can hide a little bit more, but in regional, like you're running into people in the supermarket and they're going to see you with your kids, or it's going to happen.
Yeah. And so what would you recommend as your first step? Sometimes baby steps suit people rather than going deep dive in. What would be your advice if first starting out to step into the networking world?
I guess it's depending what industry you're in. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people, so then conversation can flow a little bit easier. School drop-off, school events, yeah, me. Honestly, that's a whole nother world. And I'll give me a business crowd any day over the P&C meeting. Like that's, and look, sorry, school.
It's whatever's you're more comfortable
exactly.
with.
So yeah, like I think surrounding yourself with people that your cheer squad, have your hype crowd around you. They're there to hold you up if you lost your words or you're not quite sure about something. They'll jump in and let you know, like let that person know you're talking to. They'll correct you. So it's having those people that are familiar around you. So bring in your wing person and be around like-minded people so conversation flows better. And then slowly creep out into different territory. And you've had a little bit of experience in what's safe and comfortable. So I think that's probably the major advice that I would give. Don't throw yourself into a situation where you're just going to run away crying.
Yes.
be kind to yourself and, surround yourself with like-minded people. So if you're in, if you're an accountant, go to an accountancy, event that there's going to be some familiar faces before you jump into that broader business community event.
Yeah, and which makes sense. Look, I'm gathering over your time, whether it's been at the Chamber and even beforehand, you've seen some amazing stories of what networking and connections can bring in Wagga and regional Riverina. What's a story or even a few stories that come to mind of the success it brings just by building those relationships?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really relevant in regional. So I've worked my whole career here in Wagga Wagga and I've been fortunate to be able to do that. So I have a tourism travel background. Mm-hmm. It took me to 11 years working at the airport as ground staff for QantasLink. During that time, I was doing a lot of business people coming in and out weekly, multiple times a week for regular flights. You naturally build relationships with them. You know their names. You don't have to ask their name every time you're checking them in. You're dealing with them when there's delays and you know how important their work is and helping them reschedule. So you're building that trusted relationship. And then after my time in that sector, I moved on to local government and then onto the Chamber. And what I found, particularly now that I'm in the Chamber, is that all those people I met at the airport weekly, I now deal with in my everyday life here at the Chamber. So spending the time to form those relationships. And I go to an event and they look at me and they go, "Where are you from? Why do I know your face?" And I go, "The airport. Did you fly out between this year?" "Yes." "Oh, yes." And then they always have fond memories. So obviously that very small interaction at the airport before they were boarding their flight was something that was of comfort in a rushed, busy world. So I think it always pays to be genuine, be who you are. Don't ever underestimate customer service and relationships and that contact with people. And I guess that's why networking is so important. It does push you out of your comfort zone, but it always comes back to a familiar face, a smile, just some general chitter-chatter. That goes a long way, and that's paid off for me in my career. And I do love that about being in a regional city. You can't go downtown without any makeup or your hair done or in your tracksuit pants. You cannot do any of that, unfortunately. And trust me, I've tried. You always get busted. But that's what regional's all about, and that's what those relationships are all about. You know each other. But as I said, it's really important, I think, in business to have those relationships, to be able to progress and to be innovative with your approach and your offering.
So if someone is confident, so to speak, so completely opposite to myself, what advice would you give them entering into building relationships and connections, and especially someone moves from the city to a country town and they're used to having to have their chest out and sell themselves and be loud and, whoever's the loudest gets the most attention or whatever mindset they've had previously, what would be the advice to them?
Look, I think being that type of person is really relevant in Metro because there'd be so many people fighting for that attention and that spotlight and that opportunity. I think you need to read the room, read the environment that you're in, stay true to yourself, but don't come across as arrogant because that, and I speak from regional experience, that's not going to mix very well.
No.
So maybe just pipe it down a couple of notches until you read the room, you know who's in the room, pick someone that you think you're going to have a good conversation with, again, surround yourself with someone that is like-minded if you can. And some people are really good at reading people's characters and can really pick up on that, and some need a little bit more time, and that's fine. But I think, you need to read the room. You need to know what you're walking into and don't just go in full throttle. Just take some time to take a breath and have some conversations. And I think people underestimate listening. Give people the time and listen to what they have to say. And I'm guilty of jumping in and getting excited and cutting people off. I'm so bad at that. It comes from passion and it definitely doesn't come from trying to be rude, but I have to stop myself sometimes and go, "Sally, stop. Let this person finish what they're saying. Give them the respect of your time and your listening ear." That's a skill that some people do tend to forget a little bit and turn around and make it all about themselves again. So,
And I get that because if I start on a topic I'm passionate about, I hear myself and I'm like, Lisa, zip it.
Yeah, it's that internal thought. Yeah.
Let the other person
Very
speak.
relatable.
Yes.
And as I say, it does come from passion. It doesn't come from me trying to be rude.
Yes. Now, another question, and somewhat a struggle that I see just with our clients and connections around town. When you're in an industry where you have what you say competitors, but I don't class them as competitors myself, but, the clients are like, I want to start this business, but there's already, ABC doing it, and they find it hard then to be seen without stepping on toes. Networking can be hard because they feel like they might be intruding, even though I know at the end of the day, and I can assure them that, everyone's got their own point of difference. You can collaborate because they can refer people to you they don't deal with and vice versa. But what would be, and especially from your experience, what would be your advice for them when they're starting out and they are going to network but they're mindful of stepping on toes?
I get this a lot because as a chamber, we have a lot of different members from lots of different industries. As a business manager at the chamber, I have to make sure I'm not giving too much love to one particular business over the rest. I'm giving people equal opportunity. And I think Wagga is at a size where we can have multiple offerings in most industries. Some industries, someone's found the niche, they do it so well, and a competitor might come in and if I genuinely think that there's room for the both of them, I try and encourage that business to find their point of difference. So it doesn't look like you're replicating or people don't feel like you're replicating. And I know you say you don't see it as a competitor, but the reality is they're offering a similar service.
Yes.
And I think there's plenty of room. So just say someone came in with a virtual assistant sort of business. I think there's room for multiple businesses in that space, but I would encourage you both to sort of pinpoint what your point of difference is. And it could be that you are that friendly face that's right here and you come with all the experience in your career, or the other person's could be that they offshore and that's how they can have affordable rates. I think that's probably how I, as in my role, would deal with that point of difference. And you see it in trades. There's so many painters, there's so many carpet layers, there's so many carpenters. And there's lots of people always opening up their own little business based on their experience. And I'm not in the trades, but I don't see a lot of nastiness. I think people are accepting that you're going to have other people with a similar offering. And I think the city is large enough for that. We're only getting bigger. But if you want to stand out from the crowd, then showcase your point of difference. And if you don't have that skill set in-house, outsource to be able to get yourself up to that level.
Yeah. And I think when you stay in your own lane as such, your point of difference and you stay passionate and true to what you want to do and not what a competitor's doing I think definitely like we see with our clients, like sometimes they might sort of lose their way during business as it's growing and they're like, oh, maybe I should be doing this because someone else is doing it. And the influencer's saying this, I should be doing this. And it's like, okay, take a breath. Why did you start your business to start with? And, why are you here? What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
Like you've got to love what you do and be sort of running your own race where you're not constantly feeling like you're competing with yourself and everyone else.
Yeah, that's the best advice, Lisa. I really agree with that because you can get caught up in all that noise that's happening in the background. But if you know what you're good at and you go back to why you started the business, I think that's super important. It's excellent advice. And I think that you can push yourself and diversify, but don't do it just because the next person's doing it. Do it because you think there's a genuine opportunity there that you can fulfill or get more revenue out of. It's important to stay passionate who you are and operate ethically and genuinely.
Yeah, that's definitely something. I think in a small town, but we're small enough to know almost everyone, but we're so big. Like Wagga has grown so much over the years.
It's exciting.
It is. So many opportunities and, tourism attractions, and there is so much out there for everyone. So Sally, we've recapped on the networking side of things and like building the relationships with locals. What about for those who I know, and you probably know them too, that aren't into networking? Like it's not a natural thing. It's probably mentally draining, or they might feel like their time is possibly, even though we know it's valuable to go to networking, they just might feel at the time that their time is needed elsewhere. Where else would they go if networking's not their thing?
Yeah, definitely. I think it can cause a lot of anxiety in someone, and we don't want that. Business is hard enough without adding that layer of, I need to get to that networking event, and then being disappointed because you didn't put yourself outside of your comfort zone and going. So please don't put that stress on yourself. It's not worth it. One day you might be ready for that, and when you are, bring in your crew and head out and embrace it. In the meantime, I think, again, it goes back to what I said at the very beginning, is to reach out to your local business community groups. One section of what we do is all about that connection piece, that networking piece, but it's not everything of what we do. There are lots of opportunities for training and upskilling, and we obviously work on advocacy as well. But in that education piece, there's lots of ways to connect with other people in a classroom environment, whether it's virtually or in person, or there's opportunities through these organisations. For example, Women Biz do a mentoring program. You can partner with another business person that's in your regional location and learn from them, which is invaluable experience. And that's just a one-on-one. And that person can often help push you outside your comfort zone, but on a smaller scale, and help you grow personally and individually. There's also incredible opportunities for youth as well. We have Committee for Wagga here in Wagga Wagga, and they have a young leadership program which is targeting school leavers, so they can come and go through some personal development and growth and be introduced to the business community for networking. So we talk about ourselves and growing ourselves, but many of us have children. So I think to try and bring our children up knowing that it's okay to have conversations with people, it's okay to push yourself out into a crowd of people and have a chat. Try and, release some of that anxiety around that. Start at an early age, and then it becomes second nature. But as a business owner that maybe doesn't feel comfortable with that, reach out to those smaller programs that you feel a little bit more comfortable with. There's also government assistance there, and that does change quite regularly depending on what's happening at a higher level with government. But there's online courses that you can attend and be more informed and get some tips and tricks on how you can push your business further out into the community that may not necessarily mean you being the forward face. There's opportunities through, you might find podcasting a little bit easier to digest, or going onto the radio. That way you're not looking at people. You can block the fact that all these people are listening to you. Maybe that petrifies you as well. I don't know. There's some little options, I think, to sort of look at. It all comes back to finding the people that can help make you shine, whether it's in a business sense or a personal sense. You might find you have a really good connection at your local chamber, and that person genuinely wants to help you, and they hook you up with these training opportunities or put you in contact with state representatives that can give you advice about what the next steps are with your business. Or you come to me and I say, hey, ring Lisa. She can help you with some of that stuff you're just not getting to. There's no time for you to do that admin stuff. And that way you can focus on selling your wine and sampling the wine and looking at new suppliers, because your interest is in wine. It may not be, that Baz, or, there's, there's, a big one is social media.
Yes.
And marketing. That some people love that and they thrive on that. But there's also a whole, business community that don't. And that's a whole audience there that you can be leveraging off. So if you don't have that skill set or you're not comfortable with that, reach out to organisations that can help you, outsource it, or if you don't have a lot of funds to do that, approach your chambers or approach Business New South Wales or those government representatives, and they could have little lunchtime learn sessions where you can jump on and just learn a little bit. So there's definitely opportunities there for you to grow your business. It's not all focused around putting yourself out in front of people.
Yeah. Do you ever find business owners are too proud or too embarrassed to ask for help or guidance on the next step to take in their business, or if they're lost?
Yes. I want to say yes. They don't normally approach me and tell me they're embarrassed. But But I think there's definitely that silent sort of community that are potentially a little bit proud. But there's resources there for business owners to tap into. You don't have to do it alone. You can have a team of some sort around you, even if they're contracted in or it's just a session, a free educational session. There's definitely opportunity for you to build a team around you so you can focus on what you're successful at and why you started the business. Build a really good relationship with your accountant so then they can help you out, give you advice, make sure you're on top of all those essentials. Bring in your marketing team because there's an important crowd there that you can tap into, but you just can't get there. And you can do it in all different budgets. I've seen not-for-profits advertise for a uni student to do 2 hours of social media a week, and that's a great experience for that person. But it's also a cost-effective way for that organisation to get someone to take control of a space that they're probably just not leveraging off as well as they could, but is so important for their brand. So I think there's definitely opportunities like that. Get innovative on how you approach things, and as a result, you're building a team around you, and there's something powerful in that, and that's where you see business success.
Yeah, and look, I think sometimes when you create, and speaking from experience and like from other business owners, like you almost, if you create a business from the ground up, it's like your baby.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to let other people in because they won't be you. But I find personally, and from what I see, that when you have people around you that can do things just as good as you, and if it's just one thing, like you said, for 2 hours a week, like if that person can do it as good as you, why not let them do that and you focus on getting sales or whatever you need to bring into the business. But mentioning the accountant, that's a good one, because I think people forget most of us have an accountant in business, and accountants aren't just bean counters these days. They're actually like business advisors, and they're the ones that, sort of, I know mine will sort of bring me into line every now and then and go, righto, Lisa, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, especially when it comes to finances and understanding and actually charging your worth, because, you have overheads to pay, and sometimes you're like, oh, I can't charge that and can't put this price on a product. But when people strip it back and they go, well, actually, the product costs this, but the overheads are this and the wages are this and everything's increasing of late.
Yeah.
You can't, it's the accountant that comes in and goes, come on, you've got to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play such an important role in a business. That's why it's important, I think, to try and find someone that you connect with, someone that you can trust, because they're on the front line. They're dealing with so many small businesses, and they are seeing patterns. They're seeing what the economy is doing, and the cost of business is just insane at the moment. It's a lot, and we're seeing businesses fall over because of it, and it's the sad reality. So I think it's really important to have that trusted relationship or feel confident in doing your own finances. And at a regional level, you can have those relationships. You can go and be in that office with that person for a select amount of time. And I think it's really, really valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the accountants we know in town, and I'm sure this is the same across Australia and the world, they have their own connections as well, don't they?
Yeah. 100%. As I said, they've got their finger on the pulse. Financial institutions and accountants in the business world, they know what's happening. And when they're moving or doing things, I'm watching, because they're normally, it's like predicting the future. You're like, okay, so they're out and about, maybe times are tough. Or
yes.
So they can give us some great insights on what's happening in the business community. That's for sure.
And so for anyone in business who they're getting past the loneliness side, but maybe they're just going through a tough stage. Business is hard. So what would be your advice, and what have you seen that works when they do have those downs in business?
I do see that a little bit in my role, where people will reach out to the chamber and say, hey, things are tough. And sometimes that's when I put my counsellor hat on. Yeah. And I'm okay with that, because I'm a people's person and I can have that conversation. And sometimes I don't think I'm offering much assistance, but just to have that soundboard. So whether that's your family member, whether that's someone trusted, or just another like-minded business person, those conversations, sometimes just saying things out loud and talking through and working through things work. I appreciate not everyone operates like that, and some people don't want to discuss it. Maybe journal it. I don't know.
Yes.
But I think getting it off your chest is a good thing, and being kind to yourself. Business is so incredibly hard at times. There's so many triumphs and celebrations, but there can be some really big lows. So I think if you need time, if you need that mental health day, take it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You can have bad days. So I think that's really important to remember. Celebrate the wins, but also go easy on yourself when they're not quite going the way you want them to.
And celebrating the wins is hard, isn't it? Like when you're busy and you're just like running on that treadmill.
Yep, turning the cogs. You're just like, you need to stop and breathe and go, actually, we hit this target. How cool is that? And if you do have a team around you, super important to celebrate that with them it gives them so much more self-worth and appreciation. But even individually, go and shout yourself the coffee or go out for dinner with your family and go, we did this, like I got to this point. Super important to try and celebrate that.
Yes.
Yeah. Or even have a visual celebration, whether it's a whiteboard with a little star or something. Like, it's important to do that because, times can get tough and quite lonely in business.
And even then, like you mentioning, celebrating it with your staff, if you've got staff, like how times have changed. Back in the day, you didn't even really know if you're winning or not unless you had KPIs to meet, because the business owners, the thing was you just kind of kept it to yourself. You didn't let your staff know that there was no money in the bank account or you're going through a tough period, and even that anything was happening at home. You leave everything at the door and you come in and everything's grand. So, to celebrate with your staff, like that's a great tip, because you know what, they're doing the work as much as the owner. And I know times have changed and business owners realise that, but once upon a time they didn't.
No, they didn't. And I think staffing is a big challenge for a lot of businesses because it's hard to find staff that care about your baby that you've created and that you've put so much blood, sweat and tears into, and you've got this vision. To find staff that understand that vision and that play such a crucial role in that, it's like finding unicorns. So when you've got them, you need to celebrate them and make them feel valued and show the worth that they bring to the business. Give them some responsibility, put them in leadership roles if you can. If you're a small team, it's just having that workplace culture, I think, that's positive and uplifting, and yes, work hard, but also let's have an early knock-off on a Friday once a month or whatever it may be. The small things go a long way, and that can also set you apart from your competitor when you're looking for recruiting staff. That's what you can bring to the table. So there's so many positive things around having a great workplace culture, whether it's virtually or bringing in your accountant and your marketing team. You can create that culture and that group of people around you to help you be successful and to feel purpose and part of something bigger.
Yeah, totally agree. And with the whole staffing, like we know when COVID again hit, things changed. They really did. And are you finding years on, have things started to improve, or are your connections still having troubles finding those unicorns or getting staff to actually stay long term? Like what's happening at the moment out there?
I think specific to where we are in Wagga Wagga, there's so many exciting projects and opportunities available at the moment, and some of these big projects are sucking some of the skilled workers out of our everyday workforce. So I'd say that trades, it's challenging. Health sector, it's challenging, and it is harder to find those people. And we are in a cost of living crisis. So the bottom line of wage and the monetary, it does play a big part. For example, the plumbing industry, it's really hard to find skilled plumbers that will work for the mum and dad business because they're all being sucked out by some of these major projects because they can't compete with a $45 an hour rate. So they're real things that are happening here, and I'm sure they differ from region to region, and they come in peaks and flows. This is what we're dealing with at the moment in our community, but 10 years ago it was probably a very different story. So it's just riding the wave of business, I think. But yes, definitely challenging times with recruiting appropriate people, which gives you more incentive as a business owner if you do find that unicorn. Keep a hold of them and bring them in. If they're younger than you, then maybe they can take over the business when you're ready to move on. But that obviously that format doesn't work for everyone. But there's show that you really do value them. And I think giving them responsibility and giving them opportunity, yes, they bring their skill set, which is essential to your workplace, but also giving them opportunity as well to grow and be a better version of themselves.
And that's great advice. And just to even hear from you, like how things are up to, because sometimes I don't know whether reading the newspaper or listening to the news, if it's regional based or city based, or when they're saying like cost of living, well, I know we're struggling with cost of living because I'm living in it. Yeah. So, that's right. But then, some business owners are saying, yeah, we're fine. We have low staff turnover but then the ones that have high staff turnover, whether it's the industry or whether it's their business, they're still obviously struggling. It's still a thing out there. But what you're saying.
Yeah. I think it comes to how resilient you are as a business. If you've set yourself up well, if you've got processes in place that allow you to go through some of these tough times, if you've got a bit of a reserve and you've got reliable staff, I think that can make the world of difference. But it's hard for me to generalise the feel in a city of this size because, yes, there are some businesses that are actually going really well and there's some businesses that aren't as such. And I think there's businesses out there, going back to the question about confidence for people, I think it goes for business as well. There's some businesses sitting out there that are in a really bad situation and then too afraid to come out and ask for help. And then that's when they get to the position where they do actually fold, which is devastating for that business, for that person, for that family, but also the community as well. And that's what the Chamber's here to do, to help support businesses through that, whether it's making new connections with potential partnerships at a larger level or if it's reaching out to some of our government supports to help them during tough times. So again, finding that community group or that network of people around you that can help you out to help you through those tough times. It all comes back to you don't have to do business alone.
Yeah, look, and everything you're talking about, even recap on that, having this community, having some form of community that suits you, whether it's networking or other people in your industry, whatever it might be in your comfort zone, having those honest, and they can be confidential, of course, like having those honest conversations with each other allows you to know that you're not the only one struggling to get staff. You're not the only one doing 80 hours a week because there's no qualified staff out there for your industry. I know alone, just like the restaurant and your pub industry and your retail industry, like I know around town some of our clients have said how hard that is, you know, to get your retail staff. And like it's everyone's struggling in one way or another. And without those honest conversations, you just never know.
Definitely. And it's hard because there's a lot of retail operators that they're fatigued. It's been a hard slog. There's uncertain times and now into cost of living, and there's been various things that have impacted us, particularly here in our region. And the last thing they want to do is turn around and go to a networking event after work. And they don't have staff to fill the hours during the day so they can pop out and do a bit of networking. It's exhausting, but I would suggest that if you can connect with people that are from a similar industry, if you can create your own little group of mechanics and go and have a beer at the pub on a certain day, or if you're in retail, maybe you go for a coffee on a Sunday afternoon when the shop's shut or something. I think building those little groups and those community networks, it just gives you a sounding board with people that actually understand it. You can pick up tips and tricks for them on how they get through certain things. If you're in the same precinct, they can pop in and cover you for 5 minutes while you go to the bathroom or whatever it may be. But those day-to-day struggles are real, and I think that's when you can come together as a community and help each other out. It goes a long way, and just being able to release some of those thoughts and getting them off your chest, that can go a long way. Just having that conversation. You might not get any outcomes, but again, just being able to sit with like-minded people that understand what you're going through can really make or break you in business, I think.
100%. And this is what the podcast show is all about, is just for small business owners out there listening to know you're not alone.
Yeah.
There's someone else who's been through what you've been through.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to talk about it, just listen to other people's experiences and relate to it and know, okay, we all go through the highs and lows. There are hard days, but it's worth it. I think having those hard days also makes you appreciate the really good days and the quality days with family and friends. And definitely. To wrap things up, before we go, I just want to end on some takeaways and advice from your experience working so closely to other business owners around. For someone starting out or if they're going through a growth period, what would be your biggest advice to them?
I think it's create your hype crowd. Bring in the people that are there, whether it's family, and then slowly expanding out to community organisations or whatever it may be. If you have a passion for fashion, you don't have to know how to do the books and do accountant's work. Engage with a good encounter, get some references from your local chamber or reach out to council and get some support there through your planning processes when you're setting up the business physically. Bring in your team. You don't have to do it alone. you specialise in what you do and let yourself shine in that space and just be smart and get people in to help you with the rest and build that into your project plans and to your budgets so you're allowing for that.
Very valuable advice. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
If you would like some more tips on how to help you in your small business, visit the link in the show notes to sign up to our newsletter. Until next time, stay fresh and stay kind.